I'm Norma Ryan. I'm a lifelong resident here in Brownsville. It's a town that I love, a town that has some very rich history that has really captured my heart. Our town has survived in the 1800s when we were part of the Westward Expansion, and the Conestoga wagons and pioneers coming through, traveling west, came through Brownsville. In here, they had a choice. They could buy a boat and go up the Monongahela River to the Ohio River and points west, or they could cross over the river on a ferry and continue on their Conestoga wagons going west. And that era lasted. We call it the Westward Expansion era, and it lasted to the mid-1800s when we were blessed with the railroad. When the railroad came, it was much easier to transport wares west, and the town went into a decline. Then in the early 1900s, the town was truly booming. That was an era we call the industrial era. It was the era when coal became king in our area. I was born in the early 1900s, 1930-ish, and my growing up years was just phenomenal. Walking downtown with my parents and my brothers to a town that was bustling with people. The sidewalks were just covered with people visiting and shopping in our downtown, because all the surrounding coal patch towns came to Brownsville. We were like the mecca of shopping. And it was such an exciting time to grow up during that era. But then again, World War II ended, malls started being built in the area, employment was down, and I lived through that decline that was a little tough to deal with. Losing friends that you've been friends with forever, moving out somewhere for different employment. And it was a little tough time to go through, but we survived. I didn't leave. I stayed here with my family. And also it was a time when I was able to raise 3 kids educated right here in Brownsville High School. When their secondary education was done, they left for employment. But I stayed. And so many of us sat around and said, what is happening? The town is becoming desolate. Businesses are leaving. Buildings are being closed. What are we going to do? We talked a lot about believing in our future and what can we do. And we were very fortunate. In 1989, an organization originated that sent developers into all these communities along the Monongahela River. It's called the Mon Valley Initiative. And they taught us how to search for what is your community, what story does your community have to tell? What can you do to help? And in Brownsville, we formed something called Brownsville Area Revitalization Corporation, and formed a board. It was a 501c3 community development corporation. And we worked for at least 30 years of writing grants, renovating buildings, trying to bring businesses into the community. We worked with developing recreation in our parking lot, having events, and every time we had an event, we had to rent a stage. And we didn't give up. I guess we just kept trying to believe in our future. Well, not until 6 students from this high school established something called Students in Action. That was truly the jump start in our town. Once those students talked about building a stage, a much needed stage in our downtown, and the ability to raise $400,000 to build a stage, oh my goodness, that excitement was so catchy. That's when the community really came together, because how can you turn your back on young people believing? Soon after that stage went in, we had an investor come in and built 24 apartments in our downtown, right across from the stage. And it's totally filled, brought people to our community. We had some investors come in with private monies, buy some buildings, bring business, move here, and action was really taking place. In last year, even during the pandemic, our Chamber of Commerce was able to have 12 ribbon cutting ceremonies for new businesses. That is phenomenal. And in my opinion, this was all originated by our students who believe in our future. And when young people believe in our future, we all jump on board and believe with them. We are so blessed to have this connection with our school district and our downtown community. We're looking forward to a bright future.